Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scotsy Business. I'm here today with Jeff. I don't know if I can say your last name, so you might want to say it for me.
I'd love to hear you give it a shot before I do the
All right,
spoiler.
fair enough. Kirdeikis?
Yeah, pretty close. Kirdeikis,
Oh,
Lithuanian.
Kirdeikis. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty close. Yeah, so he is one of the co-founders or the only co-founder. I'm not 100% on that for Uptrennd.
Yeah, the founder of Uptrennd.
The founder. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess to start this off, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, but love cryptocurrency, love blockchain, decentralization, giving power back to the people, like the distribution of, power, decision making, all that kind of thing. That's kind of on my nerdy side. And so just like I'm full in on that, but and kind of on my more holistic side, like I'm living here in Bali right now just because, I love the weather, love to be outside, been loving ultimate frisbee a whole lot. So I'm a guy who just likes the sunshine, likes to stay active, and is trying to find balance in that because I'm just so niched in on crypto and the blockchain space right now that it takes a hell of a lot of my time. So I'm learning to try to find balance. That's probably a good summary of where my life is at right now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that I've interviewed, there's been a lot of talk about not just crypto and diving right into it, but like balancing with their life and family and everything as well. I've noticed a little bit of a pullback because people have been so into this for so long that there needs to be a little bit of a balance there too. So I mean, speaking of that, how busy is your day nowadays? Like, what does your day look like? Just being involved in Uptrennd and everything that's going on.
A typical day, I'll wake up around like 9 a.m. or so, or 8:30, and it's pretty much work and research. I don't want to exaggerate it, but usually till about 11 p.m. at night. And obviously in there, like I'll go for meals and things like that, but I'll be bringing my laptop. But so then that's sprinkled in with like either going to the gym or playing frisbee, a little bit of surf ocean time. But it's pretty full on. So again, yeah, trying to like just find this balance because I have a partner, a girlfriend as well. So like we're like having to like schedule out days where I just put away my laptop, put away my computer, and I'm like, okay, I have to be in the world right now outside of crypto. So it's full on to answer the question. Yeah.
Yeah, when I interviewed Bill, the CEO of Minds, he had a big struggle with not bringing the laptop and the phone into bed at the end of the day, and that was his big balance, his big switch.
Yeah, my partner and I, we always joke because we'll have our laptops open till maybe 10 or so, and then we'll close it. And we're like, okay, goodbye, big internet. Hello, little internet. Because now we've switched to our mobile phones.
Yeah, fair enough. Are there any other projects that you're working on outside of Uptrennd?
I'd say the main thing that I have going on right now is that it all started that I was running like a fairly large crypto network on Facebook. So I still manage these groups and that network aside. And then I help a few projects with, their business development and things like that. But as of right now, it's not really any other projects, just more so kind of catering that social media experience, moderating the group. So it's not too time intensive, but, you create content. And so, it's distributed between Uptrennd and the crypto groups. And so it really is like a big focus on Uptrennd right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, then I guess, can you introduce Uptrennd a little bit for people who are watching who haven't heard of it, or they might have heard a little bit, but they don't totally know what's going on there?
For sure, yeah. So the whole idea behind Uptrennd was, it started from just this, I guess you'd say, cry out from so many people just being so frustrated with our current state of social media. They're selling our data, they're not keeping it secure, they're monetizing us. Like we've become a commodity or a product, and we're getting nothing in return for it. We're getting advertised to, now they're putting ads in front of our own videos. It's like social media has taken a turn for the worst, and we felt that there has to be a change. And so what Uptrennd was is, it's kind of a community created, conceptualized product where everyone's like, yeah, this is what I'd want in a project. I'd want my data secure. I wouldn't want it to be sold to anybody. I want to be monetized for my work. And so all these kind of things. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to try to bootstrap it and create this project. And so that's what Uptrennd really is. It's like this community created project that's just meant to be the next phase of evolution. There are a lot of good, social media 2.0 platforms out there. Steemit was the first one on the scene, and fantastic first movers. Minds is absolutely crushing it right now. I feel it's nice to just have a diversity of options. Everyone has their own personal preferences. Like some people prefer Instagram over Facebook for various reasons, and so on Uptrennd, we're trying to just give a new option. We're really going to be introducing, gamification and the fun side to it. So the big thing on Uptrennd that's kind of like the selling feature for a lot of people, the mainstream, is that every upvote that you receive on either a post or a comment, you're rewarded with at least one token. And that can increase as you level up, but each token is pegged at 5 cents. And every time you level up, that increases by half a cent. So the idea is that, people can actually make a living through Uptrennd. One guy in the first 2 months made around 1,800 US, and so he was pretty pleased. Yeah. So this is the whole idea that there's other ways for people to make money rather than just slaving away at the grind. And that overarching concept is that the content that we create online is super valuable, and so we want to value people as such.
Yeah, totally agree. And I feel like that's the main one of the main motivations for a lot of the social blockchains out there today. What gave you, well, I guess you kind of covered like what gave you the idea. When did you start thinking about this, or when did you start discussing this, or when did you start working on it per se?
It was in July, which I think is around 7, 8 months ago, and that was when it all kind of started to come together, and I kind of hit the go button with the developers. And then in January 1st is when we did like kind of the beta launch and brought on a team of around 15 people, and we're just like, okay, like this is a thing now. This isn't just like a website that is out there, but it's really starting to get some traction. So yeah, July for the start and January 1st for the launch.
Wow, that's awesome. So we've talked a little bit about Uptrennd. Can you share some of the cool like features that you've got on the platform with people who aren't totally familiar with what they can do with Uptrennd?
For sure. Like a lot of the features are going to be coming out, and so I can talk on like some of the things that I'm personally excited about. So one of the things that we're going to be coming out with is the ability to like co-share content. So, let's say you've created content along with someone else, you can tag multiple people in that. And now you're essentially like distributing the revenue share. Other things that I'm excited about, I'm just really excited to introduce like the gamification, the fun side, and to create like a really cohesive conversation around cryptocurrency in Uptrennd right now. We're really trying to niche it in. And so just without giving out too many of the future things, just to really dial it in and create like a nice, strong community and allow people to make, a tangible living on this as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I noticed that right away when I started using it, how you've added like levels and experience, and it all kind of convalesces into the whole experience. And it's cool. You like level up, and then you're trying to get to the next level, and then at the same time it's also gonna help you earn more. So I think that's a really, really cool way to like, the whole system is just a really, really interesting take that you don't really see anywhere else right now. So what are some of your thoughts on like censorship that's been currently happening on traditional social platforms, and the crisis, so to speak, for free speech?
That's one of the foundational things that I kind of skipped over before. That was a main reason why Uptrennd got going, was because there's so much biased censorship. I understand we can't have another Silk Road that just has, everything and anything on there. But the censorship of biased information it's rampant. And so we are very much on the polar opposite side of that spectrum, where any and all discussion is fully allowed. Obviously right now the conversation is on crypto. We plan to branch out to a full spectrum social media platform where all speech is allowed. And so the only thing that, I really feel is relevant is that, just have, what's illegal stay illegal and not able to be posted on the site. But I feel even for polarizing discussion, it's really beneficial for, humanity as a whole to be able to have these back and forths. I feel, even just on Facebook, not in terms of censorship, but what they're showing us in the algorithm is that, if you start to like Bernie Sanders a whole bunch, you're not going to see pro-Trump articles. You're always going to be seeing Bernie Sanders, so it's it kind of creates these two wings and people on like two teams, and it's very polarizing, dividing, and kind of conflicting. And I feel that, whether you're Sanders or Trump team, they both have valid points to an extent in their ideologies. And if they were able to really hash this out and communicate, well, then there could probably be a much easier middle ground found. But it's just not the case, because right now on social media, we're divided. And so a big idea of Uptrend is, okay, let's bring them together. It could get messy. Who knows what's going to happen? Reddit doesn't necessarily pull them apart as much. They do censor information a little bit. But I'm excited to see, what happens when, these two teams can come together and hopefully have coherent conversations that, weed past the insults and the personal jabs and get into, the real meaning of what what's in their hearts.
Yeah, because if people are afraid to say, afraid to speak their minds, then who knows what people really think and what's really going on in the background, like that's the huge issue there. So where does your platform, or where do you feel that your platform fits in with the other existing blockchain social platforms?
Well, first, Minds is doing a fantastic job. We really, look up to Minds and think like big applause for them. And there's other ones, Steemit has been around for a long time. They were fantastic first mover, but they haven't been upgrading, I feel, at a rate that is relevant to the community, being overrun by bots, these kinds of things. So in comparison, I don't necessarily want to say like, better, worse. We're just very different. And, we plan to have a fully decentralized distributed database, way that the system platform works, and just present something a little different. I know on Minds, for example, they pull from a set amount of rewards daily. So for sure, the token price can fluctuate, but I feel that there is potentially a ceiling on how much people can earn on Minds. And a big difference on Uptrend is that we're actually using 80% of all the profit from the platform, and we're actually doing token buybacks. So we're really there's no ceiling on how much people can earn on this platform, because, as we get more advertisers, which aren't going to be infused into your videos and in your face, but is sleekly done, that people can actually earn much, much more. So that's kind of the big idea, is that on Uptrend, you can earn easily a decent amount.
That's awesome. So where do you see your platform going in the next year, and then in the next 5 years per se?
Yeah. In the next year, we have a ton of UI and UX upgrades, as well as a whole bunch of new features. So hopefully within the next 2 months, the entire homepage, literally everything is going to be redone. We've bootstrapped something. We're like, hey, let's just take Reddit's format. It works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now we're like, okay, people actually like this platform. Let's really spice it up. So we're going to do the UI, UX, make a mobile app. That's the biggest thing people are calling for. Obviously we're bootstrapping things. So we wanted to be like, okay, do people actually like this? Okay, great. We'll pump some more money into it. But yeah, just some cool features again, being able to make paid communities or subscription communities, kind of like Patreon, where, people can sign up and, whether it's a one-time payment, monthly payments, we're going to be implementing, hopefully going off-chain, implementing nodes so that people can earn through just supporting the network, and a whole bunch of other things. It's like a 30-page document, and they'll just roll out over time. Wow. So the next year will just be us focusing on, really locking it in on the cryptocurrency niche and just making the best platform that we possibly can, using the input from the community. And then in 5 years, after we feel like we have this really cohesive community and coherent conversation, then we're going to slowly start to branch off into other relevant topics that, it seems like a natural fit. Obviously there's motivation mindset on Uptrend right now. I'm sure finance would be one that would be a next mover. And so that's the idea, to just slowly start branching. And so in 5 years, really, we do hope to be a very prominent and potentially household social media name.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, to speak to that, there's, I don't know if you know about Sola.ai, but they are, Yeah, they're actually shutting down. So
Whoa, I didn't hear that.
yeah, it was announced April 1st, which some people thought might have been an April Fool's joke, but
That's a weird day to
um,
announce it.
I know, but it's yeah, it's shutting down on April 10th, and it's crazy, but I guess that's kind of how it works. Some will last, others will fall, and
Hmm.
now people are looking like, what's the next big platform going to be? And I've got my eyes set on Uptrend and Publish OX. So I definitely think diversifying and getting on those platforms is key for people who are checking this out and just learning about it right now. Um,
Hmm.
so, what does your current user base size look like? And like, do you know how much it's growing by, like daily or some general number?
For sure, yeah. So right now we're not really doing much, if any, promo on Uptrend because, like I said, we just wanted to make sure that okay, boom, we're getting this cohesive. Let me put it this way: we don't want to blast it out to the masses because there still are, a good number of bugs and things that we want to upgrade. Because I feel personally, if somebody invites me to a platform and I go check it out and it's not up to my standards, I'm not going back unless I see it another 80 times of people saying great things about it.
Yeah.
So right now we're still very small. We're around 4,000 people growing around maybe 30, 40 users a day. But that's exactly where we want to be. Just, infusing, fresh conversation, not growing too fast, being able to get feedback, implement it. For us, this is definitely not a sprint. And the bear market has been so nice for us to be able to take a breath and just like, okay, whew, we got time to develop, get feedback, discuss, implement. So it's been really, really good. And yeah, we're in this for the long haul for sure. So we're not in a rush to growth hack our way to 100,000. The community I have on Facebook is well north of 500,000 people. So it'd be very easy for me to migrate all those people with, an airdrop or a bounty program. And, we could easily get, a tenth of that within a couple days. It's just not what we're looking to do though.
Mhm.
We had airdrop program, or not airdrop, sorry, bounty referral. That's what I'm talking about. Referral program open for a little while. And the quality of people that it brought in, it was the kind of people that you'd expect coming in from a referral program. And so it was kind of like this learning experience for us, like, okay, wow, yes. It's really quality over quantity. And so now the referral program's really dialed back. People can only do like 10 people in one stint. So you have to be like methodical about how you invite. And it's been super, super beneficial for the platform as a whole. A big thing that we're trying to differentiate ourselves from, and I think this is more maybe etherical, but I feel it's the most important thing. Because, the big selling points are like, okay, freedom of speech, security of data, and you're getting paid. But when people come onto the platform, I find one of the biggest feedbacks that we get is, I love how positive the community was. That, my content felt valued, appreciated, I felt heard. And that was something I know when I signed up to Steam it that I just didn't experience. It didn't get shown to anybody, nor you replied. Your visibility is really low. So equality of opportunity is something that we're really big on. So that's something that we're really pushing forward on, is that we have a team called the Vibe Ambassador team. We're just like in there to like induce positivity and things like this. And I feel that's something that really, on a more not so businessy left brain level, is what's really going to make the platform thrive. And I'd say, even though there's all these developments happening, that's really our main focus, is to develop just a positive ecosystem.
Yeah, and speaking to that, I definitely noticed that was a huge difference from joining Steam and
Mm.
really not knowing what was going on, and not having it really any help versus joining Uptrend and getting a ton of like welcome like comments and just a great welcome when I first joined, as well as every time I post, tons of interaction, engagement, and I found Uptrend from a podcast that I was listening to on Minds. So, it's
Oh,
kind of cool how the crypto communities all sort of intertwine, and I can find it through another platform, which was really cool.
yeah.
So, are you going to be at any upcoming events, or do you plan to start going to conferences or anything like that with you or your team?
The team, I'm sure, will definitely start to pop out to conferences. I'd say within 4 or 5 months. If right now our travel budget is essentially zero, so
Yeah,
if we get invited to conferences and our team is by the location, then great, off we go. Right now, we're just so head down on the platform itself. There's huge value in networking, no question about that. But like I mentioned before, we're not necessarily looking to get these big partnerships right now, or to, branch off to 100,000 users. We're really keen on just making the platform inherently good quality first. So, the
Mhm.
conferences will come, the marketing will come. We're just really enjoying taking our time, taking it slow, methodical, not pushing the pace too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was the majority of the questions that I had. We can do some free form questions, or just talk about crypto, or depends how much time you have as well. I know we set aside an hour, but
Yeah, it's perfect. I
okay,
got
cool,
time.
awesome. So just free form then. What do you think about, or where do you think the market is going right now? I know we're in a bear market. Just talking a little bit more generally about crypto,
Hmm.
like what are your thoughts? Obviously, no one knows the future, but what are your
Yeah.
hopes maybe, or your opinions on where you think it might be going?
Well, I mean, short term is anybody's guess, and I think we can both agree on that. My heart is just always the biggest optimist, though, and I feel like we've just come out of the longest, or we've been in the longest bear market in Bitcoin history, which is absolutely wild to think about because within the last year and a bit, we've had so much positive news and adoption. You can look at the big ones like Fidelity, Custody, and NASDAQ and the SEC giving the green light. But
Mhm.
there's been a lot of really nice UX upgrades and making it easier for people to get into crypto as well. So I'm shocked that it's taken this long, and it feels very much like the opposite of the S&P 500, where it's like hyper inflated to the upside and you're just waiting for the crash. I feel like why are we down here for so long?
Mhm.
So this could very well be the start of a run. Again, anything could happen. This could be a suckers rally, yada yada. But what I one thing's for sure though is that blockchain is here to stay, and I'm sure we can both agree on that. And
Yeah.
so 3 5 year play, it's like if we're looking on that spectrum, then I'm as bullish as I could possibly be. And we're going to leave 20K in the wake. The ceiling is infinitely higher from
Mhm.
20K. So hugely bullish, but I'm definitely one of the Blockfolio guys, just for the fun. I'm like, where does it go? And I find it's like this kind of like a little adrenaline sport. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I have high hopes, and I mean, I've always kind of looked at it like, if Bitcoin did go down, there might be a decoupling from other coins, and then they might not have so much dependence on where it's going. And on the flip side, if it goes up, then all the same, just as good. So yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful moving forward, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes, and like you said, like it is kind of a little bit of an adrenaline rush to track and see where it's going. Interestingly enough, Facebook actually acquired Chainspace.io in February, and they might be, well, I mean, they've been hiring developers, and there might
Mm-hmm.
be a Facebook social media blockchain coming out. What do you think about that? Because I think that, given it's Facebook, there's
Yeah.
really no true way that, well, I mean, I don't expect that they would truly decentralize it, but I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear your thoughts on what that might look like.
Oh, Facebook is such a monster to talk about because now they're talking about, okay, we're moving into more privacy and data protection and all these kinds of things, and they're actually pushing for tighter regulations on privacy and data protection right now. In my mind, that's just an attempt to the first one of like being like, yeah, we're all for privacy now. It's like, you guys messed up. This is about the least you can do. You know what I mean? It's like spilling your
Yeah.
drink on someone, you apologize.
Yeah.
And now them calling for tighter restrictions on privacy, it's like, well, you guys are the reason that you're calling for this. And so because you're in such, you kind of have the market cornered and you have such a massive budget to be able to deal with this, well, of course you want tighter restrictions. Uptrend,
Mhm.
I think one of our biggest budget points right now is actually getting compliant with GDPR. It's
Mhm.
not. it's going to cost us just as much to get compliant as it has to build the platform, which is a crazy thought.
Yeah.
So, for these social media platforms that are coming on, it's like there's a big barrier to entry if you want to do it the right way. So, Facebook could do something, and I don't know what it's going to look like. Are they going to pay people a lot? I'd say no, because there's still going to be a public company that has investors. And I think the rule is if you're a public company, then you have to work for the best interest of profit. So it's not going to be this magical fairy dust thing, I don't think. It's just going to be like the wool over the sheep's eyes. I think that's what they're trying to do right now. They're seeing trends and they're just trying to keep up with the pace.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when I first saw it and I made a video about it, my thoughts were that I don't believe that it'll actually work the way that they might think it would. And anyone who's seasoned already in social blockchain platforms like Steam or Minds, and they've been around, they probably realize that it's not going to be like those platforms. But my concern is that the average person who knows nothing about any of this sees that Facebook comes out with this, and then they have no idea. But my hope is that it teaches the masses that there is such thing as social media on the blockchain, and that maybe if it doesn't work, people will at least know that that's a thing, and then they could find platforms like Uptrend, like Minds, like Steam, and maybe in the ideal scenario we would end up with just a lot more mass adoption and people educating people that Facebook's blockchain assumably wouldn't be the type of blockchain that they would, social blockchain that they would want to use. So I have high hopes that it'll work out for the best, but I have no idea. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I fully agree with you too, is that the more things that are incorporating blockchain, cryptocurrency, just even getting that concept in front of the masses is beneficial. Will Facebook do it the right way? That's up to subjective opinion, I guess. But like you say, it's just getting it out there, and then people can start to make decisions from there. I think people are just really scared to even start with it, so it's kind of like the introduction of credit cards. Like, you're not going to get a credit card, the very first credit card, from somebody you don't know. You're going to get it from your bank that you know and trust. So if you're going to use a decentralized social network, I'm going to start with Facebook, and okay, I'm going to sign up for this new one now because I understand how this works. So I think it's a good entryway for a lot of people. That being said, there's a mass exodus happening from Facebook over the last little while. It was like 44% of people ages 18 to 30 in the United States have deleted Facebook in the last year. So I feel there's already and that's a whole other topic, but there's a big shift in the way that people are doing social media. And so I think that's why the time is so ripe for these, social media 2.0 platforms, because people are just looking for something.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think there's definitely like a need for it, or like a hunger for, some solution to Facebook. And, I'm sure a lot of people don't totally realize that Instagram isn't the solution because it's also owned by Facebook. And, it's only going to be so good for so long before they do to Instagram what they did to Facebook. And, maybe then people will realize that likely blockchain social is the actual solution, not just switching over to another platform that could inevitably end up the exact same. I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I mean, there's an interesting conversation to be had about full decentralized distributed networks on the way that they're kind of regulated online, because there needs to be a centralized aspect in terms of legalities and things like that. But what I feel is hyper relevant is distributed and decentralized storage of your data and video, so that it's not owned by anybody. You have YouTube that kind of owns your content, so they're giving you pittance for it. And just on MySpace a little while ago, they said they lost 10 years worth of music. My thoughts is they're just trying to reduce their server costs and be like, oh yeah, we lost it, whatever. But that as a content creator, when you upload content, you want to be sure that it's going to stay there. Otherwise, it feels like work for nothing. And so that's something that I feel is hyper relevant, is a distributed layer to store data and video that's not going anywhere. So that's what I'm really excited to see. Whether it's Uptrend or a whole conglomeration of 1,001 platforms, fantastic. But I really feel that that's where the movement is going to be going. I think there'll still be some centralized aspects to the moderation and rules, just because on a legal standpoint there has to be, unfortunately. But yeah, good things ahead for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I guess speaking of decentralization, do you plan to be, decentralizing more and more as you build out Uptrend and just pushing more for decentralization? I assume there's going to be more centralization at the beginning as you guys are building and figuring out the platform and just
Yeah.
like expanding. And then I assume naturally over time it would decentralize more as you've sort of established.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly that. We for the sake of ease and the sake of budget, we had to start out a little more centralized. Obviously taking in as much community input as we possibly could. But a huge priority for us is to bring that database to a decentralized layer so that content creators can feel, "Phew, yeah, I'm secure. Like my data is not going anywhere. I can see on an open source GitHub that yes, it is encrypted. Yes, it's secure. There's no funny business happening here." The big thing is we want people to not only just feel like their content is theirs, but for it to be an actual reality, that it's not necessarily the ownership of the platform, but okay, you own your content.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's huge. I think people on Instagram who struggle with monetization, they
Hmm.
typically end up going to, spamming out affiliate links or whatever it might be, but it usually is counterintuitive for their long term, like their reputation on the platform and their integrity.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for people who are either suffering from demonetization or struggling to monetize that these platforms like Uptrend and others, that this is really the solution to being able to focus on the actual creative and the content and the community, what really matters, and then everything else will come naturally, and you don't have to change the way that you operate or the way that you do things in order to be able to monetize.
100% agree. Like my ideal scenario for our world is that people could earn a living. I'm getting emotional saying it. Earn a living off being who they are. Like if you like to make crypto videos, awesome. You like to paint art, awesome. You want to make music videos, great. Like imagine if we could just all do that, put it online, and like that's our lifestyle. And to me, that's just like such a magical thing, and something like really the big ethos behind, like, not only my life, like I'm doing what I love, and that's, well, I'm not making anything right now. Hopefully it pulls in something in the future so I can eat more than ramen. But yeah, for people, like this is very much like a project to help the people out. So that's the idea.
Yeah, and that's awesome because there's a need for it, and there are a lot of blockchain platforms out there, but most of them don't quite hit the nail on the head the way that you would want. I've reviewed at least 100, if not more, and yeah, I do reviews every 2 months or so, and then I update, which is actually going to be coming out soon. And yeah, the upcoming platforms that I've been looking at and recommending, or I'm going to be recommending, are Uptrend and PublishOX. So
Mm.
so yeah, I'm really excited to get that out because I want to see the reaction. And there's just been so many platforms out there that they got close and a lot of them started to fall off. Like, I don't know
Hmm.
if you know about Tribe,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
they had a lot of hype going up, and then it just kind of fizzled. And like lately, like there's a post once every, like there's an article like once every like few days. There's barely anything going on, and it's unfortunate to see. But like I said before, platforms are going to come up and they're going to fall off, and the best will be the ones that are left standing. And hopefully that'll be Uptrend amongst some of the other ones. But yeah, high hopes going forward for sure.
Yeah, thanks for the support. That means a lot. And as you know, we're so hyper open to criticism, critique, and insight and input. The whole thing is, we're trying to build something for the people. And so, if you're like, oh, this could be better, and I think you've said that a few times, we're like, we've taken that into account. We're like, okay, we're going to make some changes and some alterations, because it doesn't make any sense, to build a platform that isn't serving the people at this point in the game, that already exists out there. So we're taking models from, the Steam It books, the Minds books, the Sola books, and just being like, okay, like what's the right hybrid here? How can we bring it all, the best of everything into one place? Yeah, just make it an enjoyable experience where people are valued for what they're worth.
Yeah, and I think that's so key because maybe that's one of the larger reasons why Sola shut down and why Tribe started to fall off, because there really wasn't much of a presence of the like the higher up people in the company actually interacting and taking feedback from the community itself. And there was just kind of a disconnect there. And I feel like platforms that are taking that into account, like Uptrend and Minds, not so much Steam It, unfortunately, but yeah, I think platforms that are taking in feedback and taking these things into account are going to not only show that they care about the community and they want to make it for the community, but it's going to be the deciding factor as to why people are going to come off of traditional platforms to these platforms, because they feel valued. And I think that's a huge aspect that is missing from traditional platforms today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, fully agreed.
Yeah, so I think that covers pretty much everything. Where can people go to learn more about you, about Uptrend? Uh, if you want to just share that with them, just for people watching.
For sure, yeah. To find out more about Uptrend, obviously the website Uptrend, two N's, UPTRENND.com. And then you can click on a little tab that says how it works. And it gives you a nice one pager. Should be less than a 5-10 minute read, has a video on there too. You get the full rundown on what Uptrend's about if you want more in-depth information from what I've just said. And about me, I don't really have many bios out there. I'm not much of a bio guy, but shoot me a message, on Uptrend, shoot me a message on Twitter, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. It really doesn't matter. I'm always happy to reply to people. And, yeah, any conversations that people want to have, shoot it my way, and definitely expect a reply.
Yeah, I can attest that he's very, very active. If you want to also give your handle for them to follow on, various platforms as well as Uptrend.
Yeah, I think it's should just be at Jeff Kirdeikis for everything. On Instagram, it's Jeff.Kirdeikis, I believe, but everything else just Jeff Kirdeikis.
Awesome. Awesome. So everyone go and follow him. Go and check out Uptrend. There's a ton of value here. If you guys know anything about any other blockchain social platforms, you'll have a smooth transition coming on here. And if not, it's a pretty cool platform. There's a bit of a learning process, but they make it really easy. And it's a really cool platform. And I'm sure you'll love the community. There's a lot of positive people there. And yeah, so thanks so much for coming on. And this was a really great interview. I think there's a lot of value here for people to get and to learn more about Uptrend. So thank you so much again for being on here with me.
Oh, it was a pleasure, Scott. I love it, man.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. Cheers.